guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Sabotage. She's also a thought leader in this space, and I'm really happy to welcome her to the show and have her talk about her background and her experience. So, Holly, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I know we had connected through Podmatch, and a lot of the audience, they're female executives, entrepreneurs, either suffer from burnout. They're really trying to get away from this 9 to 5 and search for more meaning, something more profoundly impactful. So tell us about your story, how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, I worked in the dental field for 14 years, I say in my previous life, and I actually quit because I was so burnt out. It was really bad. I was having panic attacks every day on the way to work. I was barely sleeping. Like, I was in survival mode, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. This place is so toxic. I have to get out. Wow. And so I quit. And what do? 2 weeks later, I enroll in a business school. A couple weeks after that, I start my nutrition practice. And I don't give myself the time and the space to actually heal from the burnout or understand or even dig into what is this. And fast forward 3 years into my business, I crash really hard. And it was then when I had to kind of take a step back and realize that there was only one common denominator here. I could no longer blame it on this toxic industry, because now I'm in my own business and I've burnt out again. And burnout it's so misunderstood. I think there's a lot of people listening who could relate. Like, I did change my job, or I did, stop this business and start another one, and yet I burnt out again. So why is it that keeps happening? And I'm really passionate about taking the conversation beyond the surface level.
Yeah, I love that. Burnout has it's like in the mainstream consciousness after COVID, and mental health, and this has so many components of it. It's got this mental, emotional, it's got this cultural. So what you talk about, 3 things everyone gets wrong about burnout. Elaborate on that.
Well, I think the first thing is that it is so complex. It is so much more than burning the candle at both ends or work-related stress. It's deep in the body. I believe it's deep in the body, in the nervous system, and it affects your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health. And I think we need to really see people as a whole when we're dealing with a burnout. I have a different definition or perspective on burnout. I define it as a behavior problem rooted in trauma. And trauma can be small or it can be big, but it is often a catalyst for destructive behaviors like high achieving, people pleasing, hypervigilance, where we feel like we have to control everything. And so without understanding that we have these behaviors or personality traits, we just pack that little suitcase with us from job to job, from business to business, and we don't even know. And it is literally killing us slowly.
Wow, that's very, very profound when you talk about that, because I was just talking with someone and like how the body keeps a score and it kind of hides the trauma, and we're not even aware of it, and we become heavy. We carry all this baggage and everywhere, and it's very fascinating how you describe trauma as like perfectionism, workaholism, which I'm sure a lot of the audience can resonate with. What is everybody getting wrong when it comes to burnout?
We're not seeing the people as a whole, and we're using kind of surface level band-aids. So I see the conversation, and I think people feel this way, like, I've just been working too much, I need a vacation, or they grab the latest self-help book, or women, we go to a new exercise program or a new diet, or we hit the spa. But again, we're not getting to that underlying issue and those behaviors that are going to keep us revolving in the cycles of burnout.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, like how you determine, what's when someone comes to you, how do you distinguish burnout from just somebody that needs like a vacation or just like a rest, or how do you separate that out?
Yeah. Well, when they come to me, they usually know that it's time, something needs to be fixed. There's physical and emotional symptoms, right? So physically, you are exhausted. And it's not something that, if you have a nap, it's going to be fixed. If you sleep more, it's going to resolve. Like it is like your body is physically exhausted and depleted. You're going to crave things like sugar and salt to keep going. You're going to have weight gain, anxiety, belly fat because of the cortisol. That's the hormone connection. Your hormones are going to be crazy out of whack. You're going to feel emotionally exhausted as well, so that you're kind of reactive. Like you can't handle one more thing going wrong, plans changing. You're in survival mode. So things really have to go a certain way in order for you to just get through the day.
Yeah. And when you talk about healing, what are some steps? Like how long does it take to heal? On average, I'm sure everybody's different. And what sort of activities does one have to do to process this trauma?
Absolutely. So I'm in year 3.5 of healing. And I think the last couple years with the pandemic and everything, it's re-triggered a lot of old traumas for people. So I don't think you're ever done healing or evolving out of it. I think it takes more time than people want to admit. But we can't be dysfunctional and be going through these cycles of burnout for 5 years or 10 years and then think that we're going to fix it overnight. That's why things like vacations don't work and days at the spa. It gives a relief in the moment, but again, we're not getting to that root cause that was the catalyst for those behaviors. So we need to look at things like, what is our stress level like? How are we managing and our energy? Are we always in that masculine doing structure, routine, or are we sitting back in our feminine, the healing, the being, the connection? We also have to really, I think, understand that there's boundaries that need to be put into place, and understanding how this is affecting us emotionally and physically. We all have cycles of stress. So you probably know this, your audience probably knows this, maybe they don't, but the body doesn't differentiate between a physical threat or an emotional threat. It just knows that you're in danger. So we constantly have our nervous systems activated in our fight, flight, freeze, even if it's just something that we see on our phone. So we have to put boundaries in place around the things that could actually trigger us and make sure that we're completing those stress loops and we're not staying in a fight, flight, freeze. We've got to get ourselves into rest and digest and start to regulate our bodies so that we can feel safe no matter what comes our way.
I know for a lot of people have the science background, but tell us what's happening biochemically, and how does this affect hormones, heart, stress, strokes, etc.
Well, it starts in the brain, right? Your brain identifies the threat, even if it's something on your phone. Like we're not getting chased by tigers anymore. This isn't the caveman days. So it assesses the situation. It determines there's a threat. It signals into the nervous system to get those adrenal glands to kick out cortisol and epinephrine. So you can run or fight or freeze from the threat. Whatever your brain determines is the best course of action that's going to save you. But we constantly have these high cortisol levels in our body, even though there's not a physical threat. We're not in physical danger. And so what happens is over time, for women, your body will always make cortisol. It's going to start to steal from your progesterone to make more cortisol. And when we have lowered progesterone levels, we can't handle the stress as much. We store fat. We're just not as calm and as regulated. And in men, it's going to produce lower testosterone levels. So you're going to see things like weight gain, hair loss, again, just that irritability. The body chooses survival over reproduction because those are your reproductive hormones, right?
Yeah. Very interesting. And then, we talk about, kind of the root causes, what's going on, how to solve it. One thing is, so people say, okay, they need a change, and then they're doing the work to fix their burnout, but you keep seeing people crashing. What's going on, and what's
This
enlighten
is
us.
so interesting. So I actually believe that burnout can be an addiction for people. Because if we look at the traumas that people have experienced and these behaviors, if you grew up in a home where love was conditional, maybe you were punished for not producing a result, or things weren't, you're in your business or you're in your job and you're doing the work to get over this burnout and you're trying really hard to put the boundaries in place, but now someone chooses you, they validate you, they approve of you. Imagine that feeling in your body if you never had that as a child. So it's like you can almost become addicted to being in these cycles of burnout if you don't address that underlying trauma. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not working with the trauma. I'm working with the behaviors and helping people really nourish their physical body, their emotional body, and their mental body. It's body, mind, and spirit. And I think that's a big thing. Why people don't see results is because they don't have that holistic approach to healing. And that is what is required to overcome burnout for good.
And where can someone start to, you start to peel back the layers if they're experiencing burnout?
Mm-hmm. This is a great question. So I actually give people a little self-awareness exercise. And I think this is just so great to start before we run to these band-aid solutions, is to get to know yourself. We attach to so much external and it's like we don't trust ourselves anymore. So we've got to go inwards. So there's some questions that you can start to ask yourself. And I recommend grabbing a pen, journaling on these, spending some time doing these. Do I spend a lot of time worrying about things that may never happen to the point where I'm physically and emotionally and mentally exhausted? Do I find it hard to say no to people? Do I have a hard time identifying where boundaries need to be put in, implementing boundaries, and upholding boundaries? Do I feel guilty if I put my needs first? Do I seek approval and validation from others? Is my worth tied to how others view me? Do I downplay my accomplishments? Is nothing ever good enough? Do I feel restless and not satisfied? Do I have an all or nothing mindset? Do I try to control the outcome in most situations?
Yeah. Wow. Quite enlightening. And I'm sure I'm sure in all those resources, Holly's resources will be in the links and show notes, but these are very interesting questions. They actually kind of highlight what's actually going on. Really fascinating discussion. Tell us more about your podcast, how people can find you, follow you, and contact you.
Thank you so much. So my podcast is called Bombshell CEO, and it's really bridging the gap between health and business for entrepreneurs. I find that we need that as entrepreneurs. We can't have successful, sustainable, abundant businesses if we don't actually take the time to look after our health. So it's bridging the gap there. You can find it anywhere you listen: Apple, Google, Spotify, podcast, and on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active. My handle is at Holly Angela Dahl. So there's a lot of stuff about burnout and just how to nourish your body physically, mentally, emotionally, and start the path towards healing.
Yeah. And for all the listeners out there, let's thank Holly for coming onto the show, sharing her knowledge, experience, wisdom, really highlighting information about burnout that we didn't really understand and enlightening us. And be sure to follow her on Instagram, as well as LinkedIn and Facebook, as well as her you can check her out on the website, which will be in the links and show notes, and be sure to check out her self-assessment questions as well. So thanks so much, and thanks for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.